impossible. And if you go this way, you might not be able to come back.
I'm trying to look out for all escape options. On August 17th, 2017, I continued my solo trip from southern Spain to Barcelona. Little did I know that this day would have a major impact on my life and many others. In this video, I'm going to share my experience during the Barcelona attack, and hopefully you'll learn something from this and take something away for your travel experience as well. Keep in mind that this was a solo trip, so that is a huge context for what I am sharing. This is also not meant to scare you or others from traveling. I hope this still inspires you to travel and prepare for travel in this new era. Lastly, I want to thank my God friends and family and the new friends that I made in Barcelona for your support. It really helps to have a support group during times of distress. So getting right into it, I took the train from southern Spain to Barcelona, and since I got there early, I decided to take a free walking tour. I generally do this just so that I can get a feel for the city that I'm in and then decide how much more I want to explore in the city. I also did this because I had a few more hours before I could check into my hostel. So I joined the free walking tour and we began to move to our first location. As the guide began to explain the location, we began to hear a lot of sirens.
Hey guys, you can get to see the fantastic work with the marble, all the different kind of wood they use. What for me is very interesting about this room is just that. Let's try to imagine, guys, that we are standing here in the room, just standing here. I'm from here.
We didn't really think too much of it until two cop cars drove really fast behind the tour guide. In fact, one of the families was so concerned they began to question the safety of us tourists. The tour guide really reassured us that Barcelona is a really safe place and the most you might see is some petty theft like pickpocketing. To go to our next location, we had to take the metro. As we started walking towards the metro, we see the police riding down the La Rambla and just chasing everyone off the street. Tour guide asked one of the control police officer what was going on. He really didn't respond. A few minutes later, we saw the bomb squad, the high military police, ambulance. Immediately, the police around us just started to yell at us to run. At this point, again, we still had no idea what was going on, but many on our tour didn't really feel really safe, and so they decided to leave the tour. There were only 5 of us remaining on the tour, so the tour guide said, hey, come back tomorrow. Now, within few minutes of dismissing from the tour, the next thing we heard was just to run for our lives. Keep in mind, at this point still, we don't know what's going on. People were running into stores were shutting down, restaurants were shutting down. And as I began to run, I just felt this wave of people running alongside me. And if I stopped running, I didn't even have to run at that point. I would just have to stay in the crowd and the crowd would take me. But I knew I needed to go in the opposite direction because my hostel was in the opposite direction. So I had to find other ways to reach my hostel. Keep in mind, at this point, I still had no idea what was going on, but there were voices just going out in the air. Some yelling it was a revolution, others yelling it was ISIS. So again, we had a general idea that something bad had happened, but again, no clear idea on what was going on. It's the helicopter over there. Not sure what else is going on. We were chased out of 3 blocks. Trying to get back to where I'm staying. As I got closer to my hostel, the quarantine zone started to expand. I was in line of sight of my hostel, but the hostel was almost to the edge of the quarantine zone. As I ran towards my hostel, the hostel was now enclosed in the quarantine zone. Luckily, there was someone at the door who was willing to open the door for me, and I got inside into safety. When I looked at the news and compared the path of what happened and the path that I was walking, then I realized I was really close to everything that just happened. This is what the news showed as the path, and this is what Google location tracking has showed my path was for that day during those couple hours. very quickly, a few of us in the hostel started doing things to keep us occupied and get our minds off of what was really happening around us. Simply not to dwell on the things that were at hand. There were many that was stranded outside. The hostel was very kind enough to bring those people in. Later that evening, some of us decided to go outside to see what was going on, but we didn't have any cell phone signal, and even our phone cameras went blank. So you were taping and it just went black.
It went black. Do you see that, right? I can't believe it.
At this point, I really had to start evaluating my options. Hey guys, I am in Barcelona in the middle of the terrorist attack that has happened. I'm currently safe, but I don't know what's going to happen next. I'm trying to look out for all escape options possible if I can get out of the situation. Yeah. Here's the view from my hostel out the window late at night. As you can see over there, everything is cordoned off. People have been shut down from moving around. Everything is quarantined in. If you look closely there, you can see the cops moving. There's a store that is open. It's partially open. There are some people sitting out there in the balcony. I'm not sure if that's an option for me yet. We had a general idea of what was going on, but not truly from what we're seeing and what the news was saying. You know, it's a very different atmosphere when you're in the situation and then what the news is reporting. Now, it's past midnight and I still have not had anything to eat since lunch, so I go talk to one of the staff members at the Alternative Youth Hostel, and we decided to go out and see if we can grab any food.
Let's come here, but very quiet. But that place is open. Let's go see. They don't let anyone go in. Can't believe it, really. Can't believe it.
This is crazy.
This is crazy. It's
Like everything is shut down.
for me, Sissy, I don't know. I hope tomorrow morning I wake up and I say it was just a dream. I can't believe it. I think here maybe we can get some food here.
So the store was closed, and the only thing that we could get was a ham and cheese pizza, but neither of us eat meat. I'm very thankful and grateful for the staff at the youth hostel. I mean, during the crisis, they handle everything in a very kind and courteous manner, especially like with dealing with many unknowns and taking people in who were stranded in the quarantine zone. Keep in mind, in the quarantine zone, it's highly monitored, very little movement or very little mobility in and around the area during this crisis.
Is it fine to go that way?
You can try. Like everything is closed. If you go out, you might not be able to come in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they're not letting. Like there's some people supposed to come here.
If my girlfriend, if she takes a taxi, she cannot come.
No.
Because what direction we shouldn't go?
We don't.
I think from here to there, impossible. And if you go this way, you might not be able to come back. So stay at home, stay here. What do you want to do?
I was thinking to take my bike and go somewhere far and get food.
Yeah, well, up to you. I don't know.
I don't know if
You can see the right.
Yeah, well,
this is there. Yeah. Maybe you can go back. I mean, if you want to, you can maybe go out, take your bike, and then go. Because I see the cars.
so the cars.
Yes, so maybe you can. Up to you.
Okay, thank you.
Got some to go. I told them, hey guys, come. And we're running. Somehow, then a few minutes ago, we were running. Actually, they sleep at the hostel tonight.
Really?
Couldn't get to the hotel.
Wow. After the main search was done and the gear was installed to monitor people movement, the police slowly started to close in on the quarantine zone and slowly let people go back to their hostel and hotel. People's emotions were running really high, and just for the safety of people, you were grouped into ethnic groups and then slowly moved from there to your hotels.
Walking, right?
Yeah, but there are people still standing in the corner there.
Because I think they're doing in groups.
So in groups they're slowly letting people go.
Exactly.
So the entrance to the hostel would remain in the quarantine zone till about noon or 2 p.m. next day. I went to bed around 3 in the morning, woke up around noon. And people are now going for the vigil, which is at noon, down by the square. Just went through a checkpoint and they asked me to check my bag. So most likely I'm gonna have to go back and get rid of my backpack as I move around the city today. That was the first of many police stops and document checks that I had throughout the day. You know, I do get it. Like for much of the time, it was for my own safety that these checks had to be done, because when I was in a space where I was almost like the visible minority and people saw me in a negative light, it almost felt like the police knew who I was based on the number of checks and stuff that they had done on me. But they would just look at me, smile at me, do my document check and move on. And trust me, Barcelona law enforcement has treated me with the most amount of respect and dignity than any other law enforcement in the world. After the moment of silence and vigil, and it's pretty interesting. Not sure what to make of this. People are redirected to walk through the police barricade and not use certain sidewalks. Sidewalks are meant to go in the opposite direction. So this is going to be interesting. I don't know what else to say. It's like it's pretty scary, pretty sombering. Knowing things like this can happen in this day and age. So yeah. So a few takeaways from this experience. There's really nothing you can do to stop such events, but you can prepare for such situations. When you're walking through large crowds, especially if you find yourself going close to a rally or something like that, you're better off just having a small day pack where you can quickly open up during a document check and just show all the stuff that you have. When you're a visible minority traveling solo, make sure you have multiple government documents on you. I had my passport global entry check and my driver's license on me. If you're employed, have a letter from your employment stating that when you're supposed to return back to work, how much money you make. Again, this is not mandatory, but it will definitely help to have such documents from your place of employment. I had one for me, and again, it was useful in such situations. Have a few bailout plans, as in you need to figure out, like, no matter where you are when you're going on a trip, especially solo, what is your self-evacuation options? And during the crisis, those who are in Barcelona will tell you, like, it was very difficult to enter in and out of the city. In the city, it was fairly easy to walk around and move around despite the situation, but getting in and out was very difficult. For example, me getting to the airport when I was leaving the city, normal 15-minute drive took more than an hour to get to the airport because they were checking almost every car leaving in and out of the city. Lastly, develop local connections if you can before you go there. I'm very grateful to be part of a faith-based community. This allowed me to connect with the local pastor before I went to the city. Local young adult members really took me in and made me feel at home. It was great to be able to relax, worship, and move around the city that evening without having to go through any document checks. I want to say a big thank you to the Alternative Youth Hostel. Your staff was great in handling the situation and the crisis. The young adult members from the Barcelona Adventist Christian Church, thank you so much for making me feel at home. My friends and family who were praying for me, because you see, in this kind of a crisis situation, I really did not know truly what was going on. There's a lot of deciphering you have to do to figure out what is true and what is not true, because a lot of what the media shared is only like a small fraction of what was truly going on for the immediate location that I was in. Barcelona, I really hope to visit you again at a better time. If you're interested in seeing more videos from my travels, subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow this Facebook page. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.